Hey folks, we are back again, early morning and freezing, and on our way to hitting our 32K by the end of this calendar year for 2024. So here's a quick update from what happened yesterday. So I got another deal in my pipeline, and so from or maybe I should go back a little bit. So I've been doing my cold outreach and just building up the pipeline. What I figured is that I want 15 to 20 deals in my pipeline, because if I have 15 to 20, I should be able to close three of those deals so that I can reach my goal by the end of December. And if you haven't watched a previous video, my goal is to close three new contracts by the end of the year so that we can, which would equal about 32,000, I think $32,800 by the end of the year if I close three new contract deals. So this is about kind of the path of doing that. So far, I have about 7 deals in my pipeline, so we're almost halfway there to at least a little less than halfway there to the 15 minimum that I want. And so far, I have over $75,000 of deals worth in my pipeline. So I am happy that we got to that point. I still want a few more because I figured based on my closing rate, if I can get about 15 to 20, I should be able to close about three of those deals. And that's really the goal, is to close at least three. And for me, because depending on how you're watching, you might be freelancer or agency, or you're getting into it. You want to have enough interest in your pipeline, enough deals in your pipeline, so that you can go after those deals and go through the process. When we only have like 1 to 2 deals in our pipeline, we tend to get very emotionally involved in those deals. So when people ghost us or they say no thank you, we tend to internalize that because we don't have enough interest in our pipeline to be like, oh, okay, they said no, and keep on going, right? Maybe I'll hit them up in a few months. But when we don't have enough deals in our pipeline, it prevents us from doing that. So we tend to get more emotionally attached. So it's really important when you go out there and you're prospecting, is that your first goal is to really get some deals in your pipeline, get people who are interested in what you're offering in your pipeline, and you want as many as you think you'll need to accomplish what your goal is. My goal for the end of 2024 is to have 3 closed deals that will be valued at 32,000 and change. Your goal might be, hey, I'm just trying to get $3,000 by the end of the year. So if that's your goal, that's your goal. Your goal doesn't have to be what mine is, right? But I had to put all these things together because I'm trying to build my pipeline up so that, hey, listen, when I talk to these folks, or someone will ghost me, or whatever, I'm not going to get emotionally attached to it because I have other people in my pipeline, right? I have other conversations that I can have. So I'm not going to be emotionally attached as one person says, after a while, oh, I'm not interested, or screw off, or they just disappear, because I've been building my pipeline with a bunch of people who have some interest. And out of that, someone is going to turn around and give me more time in the pipeline. And there are people who I'm going to turn around like, you know what, they're not a good fit. Because that's the other thing. Sometimes we become so desperate because we only have 1 or 2 people in our pipeline, or only one person. For a lot of people, when they're starting out in their pipeline, we get desperate to make everybody say yes to us in terms of being a client. And all that's going to do is give you a bunch of heartache and pain, because you will turn around and you will choose people who are not the right people for you to work with. And that's just something that does happen a lot. I've made that mistake plenty of times. There's other people who make that mistake. You might make that mistake. But what I've learned is that when I have more opportunities, I'm less likely to be like, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. It's taken a long time for me to be like, even if I have one person in my pipeline, to be like, nah, you're not a good fit, right? Because we want people to say yes. We want to turn around and get the next client, to get the next, you know, invoice paid and everything else. But oftentimes we don't look at, hey, this person's really not a good client. They don't do the things that I need them to do after I tell them multiple times. There's always an issue, and sometimes it's just not a good fit. They need somebody else, and you're not that person. But a lot of people going into freelancing agency, you know what they do? They bend over backwards for folks. They try to be Captain Save a Ho for folks. That's what they try to do. And it just doesn't work. They'll wind up complaining. They'll wind up, which is nothing wrong with complaints. Some people's like, all I hear you do is complain. Well, if something is really freaking wrong, you should be complaining. If you realized you're in a client relationship that just ain't working, like you tell them, hey, I need access to your autoresponder so I can put the emails in, and it's been 4 weeks and they still haven't given it to you, yeah, you should be complaining about that client and probably finding an exit strategy to get out of that situation. So, these things happen when we feel desperate because our pipelines don't have enough deal flow for us to be like, okay, well, this is not going to work. I'll go on, keep going to the next one, right? We treat everybody like they're special, and not everybody is special. And there's a lot of people out there, they just don't make, they're not good clients. There are people out there, they'll be horrible customers. We can learn this if you work retail, but for some reason, when it comes to client agency work, you expect people to be better than what they are. And some people, they just need too many things to help them and to fix them. And, you know, that may not be what you want to do. You might want to do the thing you do really, really well. And that is important to know as you go through your process, because I'm sharing some of what I'm going through in my process. But for you, you're going to need to know that for, your own process as you go through this. Maybe I should make a video talking about, how I figured out my goals, and maybe that'll help some of you out there who might watch these videos and, hopefully take something from it that will help you. But, I say if you can, and I'll keep talking about the avoid bad clients, because you don't want to get stuck with somebody who's too needy. They're too desperate. You know what I've noticed when I work with someone and they give this big air of desperation, and I see things in their business like falling apart, it gives me a lot of anxiety. And I was like, you know what? I need to get out of the situation, because nothing good is happening here, and there's nothing I can do or want to do to help them at this point. And for some of you, it will take a while to get to that point when you recognize those things and get out of a situation as quickly as possible. And some of you will have to, experience that a few times for you to kind of get it, what I'm talking about. But for those who don't need to experience it to understand, take a little heed up to what I'm saying. But it's going to be your business, whether this is your side thing or it's going to be your main thing. That's really going to be, up to you how you handle certain situations when I don't have a big pipeline. And so therefore I'm going to just take any work I can to get the money in, because maybe I'm desperate and need the money. And if you're in that situation, understandable. A lot of us have been there. However, if you do get in that situation, it is absolutely your job to get yourself out of that situation as quickly as possible. Okay? If you have to take work, and let's say you have two people in your pipeline, one person says yes, and you need that money, and you take that money, you do that work, and you realize they are a horrible, company or person to work with, it is your job to keep prospecting. It is your job to fill up your pipeline with some opportunities, even if it's 4 more opportunities. Because as soon as you close 1 or 2 more, leave that person. Don't stay there. Leave that person. Now, if you're in some crazy binding agreement, because some of you will be in like official contracts with binding agreements and stuff like that, I suggest making those short. Like if you're with someone who's like, this is not going to work out, and I kind of want somebody else, but I need the money. Make those very short contracts. Make them maybe 3 to 6 month contracts if you're going to stay in that. Make it like that. It would be my suggestion. Don't go for a year or 2 year contract signing, which is rare. Make those very short if you're going to stay, but make sure it is your responsibility to rebuild your pipeline to the point where you can get out of that situation if you have to take it. Because for sometimes you're in a situation where maybe you have to do it. So, but it's absolutely your responsibility, my responsibility, that we have to build our pipelines to get ourselves out of those situations if we find ourselves in those situations. Because things do happen in life, stuff does happen in life, and I understand it. It happens, but I'm just dropping these nuggets because some people go into the world of freelancing, the world of trying to build an agency, and they fall into working with a whole bunch of people who there's a reason why there's a reason why they're not working with much more experienced or better people. There's a reason why they're constantly looking for a service. You know, if you talk to them and they've gone through 6 different service providers, it's not always the service provider. After you go through 6, it's them. It's something about them. They're not clear on what they want. They keep changing directions. Maybe they haven't paid service providers. That's a big thing. That might be another video topic, but it's not always the service provider. But you'll find that out as you go along, or if you've been in this for a little while and you make these mistakes. It's sometimes okay to make mistakes. It's not okay if we don't learn from the mistakes that we keep repeatedly making. All right. So, all that to say is that, we're getting more people in our pipeline. Our pipeline is over $75,000 in deal flow right now. We'll still continue to build that pipeline up. I want more than double that because I know my sales metrics. If I have 15 to 20 people, I'll definitely close 3 of those people. So it's all about getting more interest in my pipeline. I still have to create more content to add to that pipeline of my outreach on the different channels that I'm outreaching. So that still has to be done. I haven't really completed that yet. I'm also working on something else that's personal to my list on my teaching stuff, which I haven't really talked much on this channel, which is, I teach other copywriters and online business owners how to do outreach, and I also teach them how to write sales stories. So I have something I have to work on for that, for my internal list of folks who are in that space as well. So it's a lot of work to be done, but in terms of being on our road to closing $32,000 of sales by the end of the year, we're not doing too terrible. We're on an okay pacing. We'll continue to work on that to fill our pipeline as I continue to engage. Now, for us here in the U.S., in another few days, next week is Thanksgiving. So there'll be people who I know are going to take off. So there's probably going to be a delay in responses. I know there's a delay in some of the outreach I have now because some people started taking off this week, to take the week from now until Thanksgiving off as well. So I know there's people who are not going to see messages until after Thanksgiving, probably the following Monday. So I have to create maybe 2 to 3 more messages to put in the pipeline just for those folks as well. But that's where we are so far. Hopefully you'll get something out of the journey and my goals for the end of the year, and that maybe it'll encourage you to do your goals or make goals and to pursue them for the end of your year. I'm trying to keep myself dedicated to putting these videos out on YouTube, so that's why I'm doing these relatively early in the morning to get them out of the way, to keep my promise to post my journey and also encourage me to continue writing all this extra content, because trust me, I write a lot every single week to fill my pipeline. So by doing this, helps me keep accountable that, oh yeah, I have 3 emails and then I have 4 articles to write to get more people in my pipeline so that I can accomplish my goals by the end of the year. So hopefully you got your goal set, or you will get your goal set, so that you too can maybe comment on these videos and say, hey, I did it. I closed 3 clients. I made it to $4,000 a month for the next 6 months. So I hope to encourage a whole bunch of you. Go out there and do it. It's a beautiful time of year to do this because people have their budgets they got to spend, or they're planning their budget for next year. So you could be a part of that budget if you go out there today and letting people know what you do. Until next time, this is Lauren, the Nerdy Entrepreneur. See you tomorrow.